Hi everyone, welcome back. Happy Monday. We're going to continue reading Flight from Death, part 2 of chapter 2. I know it's been massive amounts of info dump, but it's okay. We're going to get through it so we can get to the juicy tidbits. Hopefully the juicy tidbits, but let's get right to it. Stacy left to go home and sleep after we ate breakfast, went shopping, and then stopped for coffee. I decided to stick around the Mug and Brew, a soup-oriented coffee shop, for a while. She waved goodbye as she headed for the door. Catch you later, and Shimmer, don't dwell, please. It's not worth your energy. Over here, you can be just about anything you want, regardless of where you started out. I smiled at her. You're right. I'll call you when I get back from Port Townsend. Stacy knew how to get in there and shake things up, all right. The woman was all business and no nonsense. If she said we were going to have fun, by gods, we'd have fun. And if we were going to get something done, it got done. In fact, she kind of intimidated me, especially for a human. Dragons didn't usually bother with humans. Now, living among them, I was being forced to confront my own prejudices. Respect was harder to give when you could shift into a giant creature and squash just about anybody you wanted, but I knew what it was to be at the mercy of others. That's one way of looking at it. And when I had been ejected from the dragon creatures, the wing liege had pared down my powers to a minimal amount. Now I could only shift when I was in water, the source of my power and strength. Otherwise, I was stuck in human form, even though I had superhuman strength and faster than average speed. I still had some of my magical abilities, though not all, and the heightened awareness of emotions was innate. Nothing could take that away. I mean, that's more than most people. After Stacy left, I gathered my packages and headed home. I needed to clean house before I left. I'd rigged an automated fish feeder, so that one worry off my list. And Stacy had said she'd come in to check on the house and the fish every couple of days while I was gone. But I still needed to tidy up, vacuum, and clear out the refrigerator. I like this girl. As I was putting away the tea I bought, one of the delightful surprises I discovered when I came over Earthside was herbal tea blends. I heard a noise. It sounded like wood scraping on wood. Frowning, I turned around to discover that one of the cupboard doors I'd closed had come open again. The latch must be loose. Or had I really remembered to close it? That happens to me all the time. Terrible memory. I softly pushed it closed, making sure the latch caught, then turned back to the fridge. I pulled 3 containers of leftovers out and then set them to the counter. I could finish them off for dinner. They'd just go bad if I left them while I was gone. Using a damp sponge, I quickly wiped up one small mess in the corner of a shelf and then straightened up just as a scraping sound caught my attention again. This lady has the weirdest details. Turning around, I saw the cupboard door was open again. As I walked toward it, the door slammed shut and I heard a low laugh. I never thought I'd hear that voice again, and I didn't know whether to laugh or be pissed, or both. Cripes, Kai, stop it. You just scared the hell out of me. The laughter stopped, and a waver in the air told me what he was. Show yourself. Come on out. Very slowly, almost like a game of peekaboo, a figure shimmered into view. He was tall, very tall, 7 feet at least. His skin was golden, and he had eyes the color of seafoam. Broad-shouldered and bare-chested, Kai was gorgeous. I raced over to him, throwing myself in his arms as he hugged me tight. Shimmer, little sister. I thought this was going to be a love triangle thing, but I'm glad it's not. I've been looking high and low for you. He brushed my forehead with a kiss. Finally, someone on the western shore told me that you've been expelled over Earthside by the wing liege. I don't need to tell you how hard it was to track you down. Laughing, seeing him made all my troubles melt away. I playfully slapped his arm. Trust me, Kai, that's a good thing. The harder it is to track me down, the safer I am. If Kai had trouble finding me, that meant that Grinfire and his clan would have an equally difficult time, and the harder I was to find, the safer I was. He pushed me back by my shoulders. Girl, what a mess you got yourself into. If you needed money, why didn't you just come to me? I shrugged, not wanting to spoil the mood with the story of why I'd really broken into the White Dragon's jury. What can I say? You know me. Now sit down and tell me what you've been doing with yourself. I pushed him over to the kitchen table. My house had an eaten kitchen nook, and as well as a formal dining room. And I decked it out in blue and white theme, and that reminded me of the water. The walls of the kitchen were the color of pale morning sky, just before the sun peeks over the horizon. The fact that a djinn was hanging out in my kitchen seemed delightfully surreal to me. The fact that I even had a kitchen seemed surreal. Again, weird details. All right, don't get pushy, little sister. Kai and I had met when I was first released from the Lost and Foundling, the orphanage for abandoned dragonettes. A little on the nose there, don't you think? The owners brought us up rough and harsh to steel ourselves for our adulthood. Not every orphan survived the ordeal. We weren't exactly abused, but there were no vacations or holidays and not much playtime involved. I had learned early on just where I stood in the world. When I left the orphanage, I headed out for the western shores, intending to track down information on my heritage. Family meant everything to me at that point. Instead, I had found Kai, sunning himself on a rock. We struck up a conversation, and somehow, in a twisted way of the world, we'd become close friends. Gins were tricky, and you could never really trust them 100%. But in the scheme of things, Kai was the best friend I had. So have you been Earthside before? I returned to cleaning the counters. And do you want something to eat? Gins ate food the same as everybody else, though they didn't really need it to survive. And what they ate varied with the type. Most Gins had a connection with the element of fire, and they tended to prefer their food on the spicy side. Kai shook his head. I thought I might stick around for a while. I missed you, and I could be a useful go-between since I can't return to the dragon reaches now. I glanced at him as I dribbled a spoonful of honey over the leftover pancakes I tucked away yesterday. I didn't mind eating them cold. He grimaced. Yes. I wasn't going to be quite so blunt, but now that you mention it, I can bring you things you might need. I can also help you keep an eye out for Grumpfear. In fact, I took a peek in on him and his family before hightailing it over here. Girl, you have to be careful. He's on the warpath, and he's pissed as all get out at the Wayne Liege for letting you live. He wants his pound of flesh, my girl, and I don't think he's given up hope of getting it. That so wasn't what I needed to hear. If Grenfell was still on the rampage, that meant I had to watch my back. There was nothing preventing him from coming over here to hunt me down, and there were oh so many ways to make a death look like an accident. I'll tell Alex. He can talk to the Winglish for me. I still don't know how those two became friends, and he won't dish on the details. I glanced at the clock. I was nearing 11 and still had to pack before I slept. I made a snap decision. Kai, I want you to stay for a while if you can. I have to go out of town for a few days on a case, but you can use the spare bedroom. Just don't trash the joint, and no bringing home girls. $10? Him and Stacy hook up. Gins could be as bad as incubi when it came to partying. In fact, they could be a whole lot worse. Their wishes came with long, snarled strings attached. So while I was comfortable asking Kai for little things, I never once had accepted his offer of a wish. And generally, I told him what I wanted rather than ask, and he either complied or refused. His eyes glimmered as he crossed over to my side. We had never clicked in a sexual way, but he was there for me, and I knew with certainty the Jin had my back. He draped an arm around my shoulder. Sure, little sister, I'll stick around for a while. You can count on me. By the time Bet stopped to pick me up on the way to the office, I had settled Kai into the guest room, which he promptly redecorated and managed to catch enough sleep to refresh me. She managed to catch enough sleep to refresh herself. Not the guy. As I shoved my suitcase in the trunk and clambered into the front seat next to her, Bet puffed a cloud of smoke in my face. I coughed. Her car was an old Chevy Impala, and she tricked it out like a lowrider. That's just rude. The rain had increased to the point of being a downpour, and Bet turned up the windshield wipers to high. So you ready for the trip? Did we need to know that she turned her windshield up high? I would assume if it was a downpour, your windshields would be on. I shrugged, my thoughts still on Kai's sudden arrival. I guess I got a surprise visitor this morning. Hunky and hung, I hope, she cackled. The woman could turn into a water moccasin, and she had an alluring charm for humans. She might look like a grandma from hell, but she could shake up big time in the sheets from what Alex had said. They had gone out about 100 years ago, but discovered they made each other much better friends than lovers. Yes, but it's not like that. He's more like a brother than anything else. I told her about Kai. She turned a cautious eye to me as we pulled into the parking lot. Alex had reserved for her in the lot next door in the office. Shimmer, you're a sweet girl. As I started to speak, she waved me silent. Don't contradict me. You have no clue how old I am. I grinned and shut my mouth. There was no good way to answer that one. I know you say he's been a friend of yours for years, but honey, are you sure you can trust him? The Jinn are tricky species. They twist words for fun and profit, you know. Her eyes crinkled and she reached out to pat my hand. Please just walk softly. It may seem like family, but the fact is, you can't trust much of anybody right now, especially when it's only been a few months since a Wingleaf sentenced you. I just don't want you to get hurt. I ducked my head. I know, but I have to trust somebody. I can't walk around paranoid all the time. I spent my entire life looking over my shoulder. I'm tired of it, Bet. My fingers slumped and I hung my head. I'm just so tired of fighting. She squeezed my hand. It's not fair, and you're right. You shouldn't have to. All right, then. But if anything seems off base, you come to Alex and me. You hear me? I nodded. I promise. As I pulled my suitcase out of her car and carried it over to Alex's rusty brown Range Rover, he owned several vehicles, but thank gods he hadn't bought his motorcycle for the trip. I thought about what Bet said. Kai's sudden appearance after not seeing him for so long had startled me, but I needed to trust him. Right now, I needed the sense of security he brought me. Ooh, he does betray her. Ready, love? Or maybe it's Stacy that betrays her, because they'll expect that Kai betrayed her, and that's not going to be the case. Ready, love? Alex was in the driver's seat with Ralph in the back. Apparently, we were all riding up together. I nodded and stowed my suitcase into the back alongside theirs. Ready as I'll ever be. Alex blew a kiss to Bet. Hold down the fort. We've got ourselves. Call me if anything urgent comes up. You got it, precious. And she teetered over to the building in her 5-inch platform boots. We pulled out of the parking space and headed to ferret out a ghost. Well, there you go. Chapter 3, I believe we will be meeting our ghost, hopefully, but intrigue, drama, probably some weird sexual tension between Kai and Stacy. Maybe we'll see it. If this book is like any of the other series, I'm sure they'll have their own book. But whatever, we'll see. We'll see what's going on. But there you have it. I'll try not to read ahead because I'm intrigued. We'll do it together. But anyway, have a wonderful night, and I will see you soon.